Good evening, everyone. Have you ever looked at a modern rhinoceros and thought, what if that animal had a face only a paleontologist could love? With two giant blunt horns made of solid bone, not keratin. Today, we are going to travel back in time, about 30 million years, to a period known as the Oligocene epoch, to explore a magnificent and truly bizarre creature that once roamed the lush, swampy landscapes of what we now call Egypt. This is the story of Arsinoitherium. The name itself, Arsinoitherium, translates to Arsinoe's beast, a tribute to Queen Arsinoe II of ancient Ptolemaic Egypt, near where its first and most complete fossils were discovered in the early 20th century. While its imposing, rhinoceros-like appearance might suggest a close kinship, Arsinoitherium is a prime example of convergent evolution, the process where unrelated species evolve to have similar physical traits due to adapting to similar environments or ecological niches. In fact, its closest living relatives aren't rhinos at all. They are elephants, sea cows, and even the tiny, unassuming hyrax. This fascinating evolutionary twist is just one of the many reasons why Arsinoitherium holds such a special place in the fossil record. Let's delve into the anatomy of this incredible animal. Imagine a creature standing around 1.8 meters, or about 6 feet, tall at the shoulder and stretching over 3.4 meters, or 11 feet, in length. Its estimated weight was a staggering 2.5 metric tons, making it one of the largest land mammals of its time. But its most striking feature, without a doubt, was its head. Dominating its skull were two massive horns rising from its snout. Unlike the horns of a rhinoceros, which are made of compressed keratin fibers, Arsinoitherium's horns were extensions of its skull bone, hollow and incredibly strong. A second, much smaller pair of horns or bony knobs were located above its eyes. The size and shape of these horns suggest they were used primarily for display, possibly in ritualized combat between males or as a tool for pushing through dense vegetation. Interestingly, both male and female skeletons have been found with horns, though there may have been some size difference between the sexes. Looking beyond the head, its body was robust and bulky, with columnar limbs strikingly similar to those of modern elephants. This build, coupled with broad, five-toed feet, suggests it was not built for speed. Instead, it was an animal perfectly adapted for life in its specific habitat, the soft, muddy ground of a swamp or wetland. Its skeleton indicates a powerful, lumbering gait, designed to support its immense weight while navigating challenging terrain. A close look at its teeth tells us a lot about its diet. Arsinoitherium had a full set of 44 teeth, a primitive trait for a placental mammal. These teeth were high-crowned and specialized for grinding, indicating it was a herbivore. Given its habitat, paleontologists believe it was a browser, feeding on soft, lush plants like ferns, reeds, and aquatic vegetation that were abundant in the Oligocene rainforests and swamps. It's possible that its horns were also used to strip leaves or pull up roots from the wet ground. Now, let's set the stage. The world of Arsinoitherium was a very different place from the arid deserts of modern North Africa. During the Oligocene, the region was part of a larger landmass called Afro-Arabia, and what is now the Fayum Oasis in Egypt was a vibrant, tropical wonderland. The climate was warm and humid, supporting vast, dense forests, meandering rivers, and extensive wetlands. This environment was rich in biodiversity. Arsinoitherium shared its home with a diverse range of other prehistoric animals. There were early elephants, like Merotherium, which were much smaller and more aquatic than today's giants. Primitive primates, including the ancestors of monkeys and apes, swung through the trees. Crocodiles and giant turtles patrolled the waterways, and a variety of birds, including early storks and flamingos, lived along the water's edge. The Oligocene was a time of significant faunal exchange between Africa and Eurasia. While the Tethys Sea still separated the continents, periodic land bridges would have allowed some species to disperse. Fossil evidence of Arsinoitheres has been found in other parts of Afro-Arabia, and even as far as southeastern Europe and Turkey, suggesting this incredible creature had a wider range than previously thought. Arsinoitherium belongs to an extinct order of mammals called Embrithopoda, which is part of a larger superorder known as Pionungulata. This group also includes the orders Proboscidea, elephants, Sirenia, sea cows, and Hyracoidea, hyraxes. The discovery of a common ancestor for these diverse animals in Africa has been a key piece of the puzzle in understanding the evolutionary history of mammals. It highlights Africa as a major cradle of mammalian evolution. So, why did this magnificent beast disappear from the face of the Earth? The extinction of Arsinoitherium, which occurred around 27 million years ago, was not a sudden, catastrophic event like the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Instead, it was a gradual process tied to global climate change. Towards the end of the Oligocene, the Earth's climate began to cool and dry. The lush, watery habitats of North Africa started to shrink, giving way to more open, arid grasslands. Arsinoitherium, with its specialized diet and physical adaptations for a swampy environment, was ill-equipped to survive these changes. As its food sources disappeared and new, more adaptable herbivores emerged, the Arsinoitherium population dwindled. The very environment that had fostered its unique evolution ultimately led to its demise. In conclusion, Arsinoitherium is more than just a fossil of a weird-looking rhino-like animal. It is a powerful lesson in evolution, adaptation, and the fragile nature of ecosystems. It reminds us that even the most successful and specialized species can be vulnerable to environmental shifts. By studying this remarkable creature, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complex tapestry of life on Earth and the dramatic changes that have shaped our planet over millions of years. In our first text, we mentioned that Arsinoitherium was named after Queen Arsinoe II. This naming represents an exciting turning point in the history of paleontology. In the early 20th century, in the Fayum oasis of Egypt, particularly in the deposits around what was then called Lake Karun, the remains of this giant animal began to be discovered. These discoveries were made by the British paleontologist Charles William Andrews, who worked for the Geological Survey of Egypt. Andrews and his team uncovered the incredibly rich fossil beds of the Oligocene period in the region. The first parts of Arsinoitherium to be found were its massive horns and skull fragments. This unique structure made it difficult for scientists to initially understand what the creature looked like. However, the discovery of an increasing number of complete skeletons allowed for a detailed reconstruction of the animal's overall anatomy and posture. The location of the fossils and the rock layers in which they were found provided conclusive evidence that Arsinoitherium lived in a humid, swampy environment approximately 30 to 27 million years ago. These fossil finds not only shed light on the animal's physical structure, but also illuminated the ecosystem of that period. The Fayum fossil beds contained the remains of a variety of other animals alongside Arsinoitherium, such as early primates, giant snakes, crocodiles, and early elephant relatives. This rich diversity allowed scientists to reconstruct the food web, competitive relationships, and environmental conditions of the time. Micro-wear marks on Arsinoitherium's teeth provided clues about the specific plants it ate, while isotope analyses of its bones revealed details like the salinity of the water sources it inhabited. Arsinoitherium's unique and somewhat bizarre appearance has earned it a place in popular culture. It has frequently appeared in documentaries, animations, and video games. This interest stems from the exciting story of it being a rhinoceros-like giant that once roamed the swamps of North Africa. One of its best-known representations is in the famous BBC documentary series Walking with Beasts. This series brought Arsinoitherium to life in a highly realistic and impressive way within its own ecosystem, interacting with other animals. Thanks to this documentary, a wide audience got to know this animal and understood how diverse and fascinating prehistoric life could be. It's also possible to encounter Arsinoitherium in video games, especially in prehistoric-themed survival games. In these games, it is often portrayed as a large, powerful herbivore that players can hunt or tame. These depictions emphasize the animal's size, strength, and especially its two massive horns, creating a memorable image. Arsinoitherium's presence in popular culture shows not only its scientific importance, but also how much it can spark people's imagination. Indeed, this creature that lived millions of years ago is a treasure for scientific research and a symbol that reminds us of the incredible species that Earth has hosted throughout its history. Its story is a perfect example of how paleontology can be used not only to study the remnants of the past, but also to bring that past to life and share its story with millions.